Hey everyone, I'm Mel.
And I'm Claire.
And together we are
the Salty Hoes.
Welcome back, everyone. So we are coming at you from deep behind the Zion curtain. We are coming at you from deep within the dungeon of the Salt Lake Library.
We are in a dark hole, quite literally, today.
It's actually kind of giving me anxiety.
Yes, we're trying to breathe through this. So I think once we start talking, we'll relax into it. But we will post a picture of the very tiny, sweaty box that we're currently sitting in.
Yeah, it is a sweat box for sure. At least I'm in here with you and not someone else. That is making it slightly more tolerable.
Yes, and we're both clean and showered.
Yes.
And that's definitely helping, I think.
There are no shitty pants to be found anywhere in this just little tiny sound booth.
This is good.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about DadTok, but first we got to update you really quickly because just a couple of days ago we were at the Tanner Humanities Center.
We were. It was very fancy.
It was very fancy. The organizers did such a good job. It was amazing. Yeah, what a fun day. So huge shout out to everyone that worked on that. It was so good.
So amazing. And it was the perfect blend of academic inquiry, scholarship, and just pure fun. Amazing.
So much fun. Our talk went over really well. We'll give you some more deets on that a little bit later, but we did just want to say we're still coming off that amazing high of presenting. And then something else crazy happened that day.
On the same day.
The same day. It was like the stars were aligned.
It was honestly just an incredible day. And I think you're right. We're still processing. And we're going to sound so fangirly, but I don't care.
I don't care either because I am genuinely a fangirl and I'm even more now.
Oh, 100%. But we have a very, very special photograph to share with everybody this week because we bumped into a certain someone on 9th and 9th.
Yep, someone that we have been watching for quite some time and who we both absolutely adore.
Yep. You drum roll.
Drum roll. And that would be the beautiful Whitney Wild Rose. Oh my God.
It was amazing, and she is such a lovely human.
She was so kind. She was so gracious. She chatted with us for a bit, and it was just lovely.
She was so chatty, and we got a great picture, although slightly elongated picture.
Yeah, there was some photography issues, perhaps, but
we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. Anyway, she could not have been more gracious.
She was really lovely, and I mostly just stood in the background trying to breathe because I knew that my words would not really probably come out in a really coherent way and I would fangirl and embarrass everybody. So Mel did a great job.
Oh, thank you. And also I just feel like she seems so real and authentic. I feel like the Whitney we see on the show, especially the Whitney who's really in herself, you know what I mean, is the real person. So that's so cool to see.
There was no discrepancy or front, and she was quite vulnerable even, I would say, in our conversation. She wasn't projecting as perfect or
No, not at all. She was just there, just being a real person in the 5 to 10 minutes that we chatted. She was so great, and she was sometimes they kind of give me a weird edit. She's I give them a lot to work with though. And we were that's because you're real.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it.
100%. And she looks so cute too.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
It was such an amazing day. We were just wow, all things Real Housewife are just everywhere today.
Claire, it's almost making me believe in astrology and all your woo-woo witchy stuff.
I love it. You're coming over to the dark side.
Yeah, right, literally.
It's great, which is really the light side. But yeah, that didn't make any sense. But you know what I mean. It's a good place to be.
You know what? Someday we'll have a whole episode about astrology and you can school me in some stuff.
That would be amazing. I love the woo-woo because really, is it any different from believing that two white men came down from the sky and told a 14-year-old white boy that he was the master leader of a new thing? Well, I mean, it's not really any different.
It's not any different, but the thing is I don't really believe in either one.
I know.
But anyway, we can get into it.
You're that is a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean that more directed to say religious people that would be critical of astrology or, I mean, like things connected to the earth. I mean, they are millennia old. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Like they have no ground to stand on to criticize there.
Definitely not.
All right. Well, let's table that for now.
Yes.
Should we get into... No, but I really do want to like dive into that at some point. But today, we have a different topic to dive into.
Very important.
Yeah, maybe much less pleasant than astrology. And we're going to do it. So Claire, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about DadTok.
Ooh.
Yes, and unlike MomTok that we hope will survive, we really hope that DadTok won't survive because it's an abomination, to use religious terminology.
Oh my God, I love that you said that.
And it's also like completely mooching off of the success of the women, because a common narrative that I hear between divorced friends, or more so from men, you know, this negative narrative around, oh, my ex-wife took everything, like all my money.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, we are no stranger to this phenomena.
No.
As are a lot of people that we know, and that kind of sort of noise around women. And here we have the complete flip side of that. And it's just so interesting to see it play out, and the different standards, shall we say.
Yeah, do you think it's fair to say, I already have my answer, that DadTok generally, maybe not every single individual, but DadTok generally are gold diggers?
I mean, let's just call them that. They are gold diggers.
Maybe that's not fair because these people were together before the show started, but wow, their behavior is really not wanting to make me give them a lot of slack, to be honest.
And let's just say it's as fair as calling a woman a gold digger.
Sure.
That's supported a man through decades of a career, and then all of a sudden she's a gold digger. So it's as fair, really, if you know.
Okay, true. So maybe nobody's really a gold digger. Maybe some people are, but maybe nobody in this situation. Do we have... Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm like... I think you and I both have so many just things to say on this. I think maybe what is a different phenomena here that maybe we don't see on the flip side with women is that you have men complaining that their wife is maybe neglectful of the children or the home or their wifely duties, and yet they are enjoying the fruits of the labor, shall we say.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that several of them might fall into that category where, in the case of MomTok, the woman is the one who is the star of the show, right? Yeah. She's making all the money. She's getting the brand deals. Some of these men, for example, Zach, have either, put their career on hold or decided to maybe not do the career they had in mind in order to support their wife. But that support is a little bit of a loaded word, like you said, when they're complaining about it nonstop, and they're complaining about taking on caring for the children or the household maybe, but at the same time it seems like they all have domestic help, like they have nannies, right? And they have people like to clean the house and like make the food and all this stuff, and they're still complaining about this role. And I think a lot of that really has to do with the gender roles within Utah and within the LDS church. And now that those have been turned on their head, these men are really, really uncomfortable. And we've talked about that before, and it was kind of an interesting strand, I felt like, in the first few seasons of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. But now it's really grating and irritating me because of like how whiny they're being about it. They're kind of being whiny little bitches. Not all of them, some of them.
Yeah, most of them. I think that's fair. And I think, probably most of the world agrees with you in what you've just said. And I think, there's definitely an overwhelming response of, just get them off the TV. Like they are obnoxious and annoying. And I think in this series we've seen most of them leave behind what they did before to offer quote unquote support. Because as you say, like when all the girlies started like MomTok, they were watching the kids full time. Some of them were working full or part time. They were cleaning the house, making food, like doing all the things that typically at some point, I'm speaking from personal experience here, but I know I'm not alone, where you might try to talk to your husband, be like, oh, like, I'm so tired and I feel a little worthless. Like, you know, because it's, if you're not working, you're a stay-at-home mom, you're like trying to find the connection and your feeling of worth. Not that there's no worth in being like motherhood, but we're always getting the messaging that there's no worth in motherhood, but yet that's also what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it's like deeply confusing. And, you know, the response is not always helpful, as we've seen play out in DadTok, where it's like, oh yeah, I hear you, but the kids really love you. And it's this like branded benevolent sexism of, you know, oh, I hear you, but, you know, the kids love the mom more. And what are you supposed to do with that?
I think you said that so perfectly. Benevolent sexism is something we're just seeing all the time, and I feel like that's something that we see in some patriarchal structures, including sometimes the LDS Church. I mean, I'm sure you've heard many times, probably more than I had because you were in it for longer, right? The stuff from the pulpit like, oh, women are just like too good. They're too pure. Like, they don't need the priesthood because they're already like so amazing. We're the ones that need it because we're broken, but at the same time, that allows them to retain all the power within the structure.
And it's such like a Jedi mind trick because, yeah, it's like, but we're being really nice here. We're saying nice things, but it's like firmly putting you in this little corner that you can't get out of, or you're a bad mom or a bad wife, or, you know, my favorite scenario when I was still in the club was sitting in Relief Society, and they, you know, invariably the lesson would come around about being a mother or something work related. And I always used to think it was like a double insult because they would say, you know, well, I am #blessed to be able to stay at home full time with our children because my husband earns a lot of money.
Oh, barf.
I know. And so it was like a double insult to women who worked and also their husband, because obviously they were weak and atrocious, and there was no other reason that a woman wanted to work outside the home, only because her husband was inept and not earning enough. So it was like a double insult. And I remember like raising my hand one week and I said, but what if you're like really good at something, or, you know, you've put a lot of time into education and you, like, dare I say it, want to? And it was just like, oh my God, you demon. Like
crickets.
Yeah.
Tumbleweeds blowing by.
Yeah, it's
thinly
like
veiled waves of hostility.
Sister, that's not an option. I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really bad. It's actually kind of a triple insult because it's also saying like you weren't good enough to lock down a man that makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
Who's #blessed. Prosperity gospel bullshit, right?
Yeah, and it's really weird because some of us actually do want to have a professional identity.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was married, certainly I did not have to work. There was no economic reason for me to do so.
Yep.
But I really wanted to. I didn't want my PhD to go to waste. I wanted to have like my own social and professional identity. I wanted to feel fulfilled in that sphere instead of being home. And no shade to someone who chooses to just stay home because that's what they want to do. I think that's marvelous. And if you want to do that, do that. But I still felt like I had some professional goals to accomplish.
Choice. It's all down to choice, right?
Exactly.
If you want to stay home, stay home. If you want to stay home for a wee while, stay home. If you don't. Like, it's all good.
Right.
You know, trusting that people will make the decisions that are best for them and for their family, and actually nobody needs to endorse that.
Yeah, like there's not one right way.
No.
So, anyway.
Good times.
Good times. All right.
Yay, Mormonism.
Yay, Mormonism. Well, should we get into some details of DadTok?
I think we should get into the nitty-gritties.
And I think I want to start with the big one. Okay, I think I want to start with Dakota.
Yep.
And I would like to acknowledge that your witchy instincts were quite correct about Dakota. So we talked about this a few weeks ago when we did our MomTok episode. And, you know, I wasn't contradicting you. I was just saying, we don't know. We've only seen this one thing. And you were also saying, hey, we don't know, but here's my experience. And this is how it is eerily reflective of what I'm seeing in the video and in Taylor Frankie Paul. So kudos to you, my friend. Hats off. Because now we have some new information about Mr. Dakota.
Well, I think that our conversation was great because we were just untangling it all, you know, and looking at all the possibilities. And we still don't know, but we have more information.
Right. And I think we were clear to say, I'm so sorry. We're talking over each other.
Well, honestly, we're in a dark hole and we can't see each other's
right. The faces are a little bit occluded more than normal. I think we were careful to say, look, we don't know what's going on. We know this little piece that we see. Yeah. And that's still true. Like now we just have a couple more pieces of the puzzle. We still don't know the whole thing.
That's very true. And I guess the next big day is like April 30th, the next hearing. But the information that came out was very interesting and I'm sure has mirrored many people's experiences. I think rarely things happen in isolation. So it's not like all of a sudden she just came out throwing chairs one day or, look, she got super drunk this night. Like, we all have lapses in judgment. Every single person on this earth, it happens. And, if you have video footage, it's really easy to highlight, right? And I don't know what kind of stuff that Taylor Frankie Paul has, but I've always held true to this idea, which may or may not be true. This is just a little Clarism, but we've talked about this before. There's always like a cringe element when someone is sobbing and records themselves.
Yeah.
It's like you took time to put a tripod there to make sure your home was all, finessed. And, maybe those are very genuine. Maybe they help people. Personally, I'm like, okay, is this performative or are you actually at a low point? And again, this is my own, hypothesis here, but I kind of feel like if you are calm enough, in control enough to set up a recording device, to me that speaks more of manipulation versus somebody saying, this thing happened, and no, I didn't pause to record it because it was violent and terrible and awful, and I was maybe scared for my literal life in that moment, or something like that.
Maybe I wasn't actually physically capable of whipping my phone out because I was being physically hurt.
Yes. Or even if there was no physical things happening, the emotional confusion, like one of the, main manifestations of emotional abuse is confusion.
Yeah.
Of did that happen? What was that like? Oh my goodness. And then, that's what wears people down. And then sometimes they get to the point of throwing chairs, which I'm not saying is justified. I'm just saying, I could potentially understand it.
Yeah, or that there could be a threat of physical abuse, even if it's not happening in that moment, right? Like, don't you dare take your phone out or something like that. Claire, I really, really love and appreciate your analytical mind because you're like, okay, we saw that, but what's the framing? What is the context? So that did happen. Nobody denies it. But what happened before? What happened after? What led up to this? Both that day and sort of as a pattern in the relationship.
Yeah, that's, because just things rarely happen in a vacuum, I think. And it's really easy to tear people down, I think, especially people that are really successful. And you could argue that she has always been kind of effortlessly successful person in MomTok. She doesn't take a lot of the speaking time. She's not super glammed up the way maybe the other women are. She's usually in sweats and her hair is all a big bush and she's still gorgeous.
Yeah, and yet she's the one that put MomTok on the map, right? So when MomTok started, that was really Taylor Frankie Paul. I mean, Miranda was there too, some other people were there too, but really the person that made them all famous was Taylor.
Yeah.
So she's got some smarts in terms of social media.
Definitely. And just, pushing the idea, seeing it through, all of those things. And, it also just never added up that we were seeing them together, which I think everybody was cringing at in the most recent season. They're like, oh, here they are again, back together.
Yeah, so much toxicity.
Yeah, and so how then the next week are you like, okay, restraining order, it's there seems a little performative element to it.
Yeah, and the timing element, like we talked about before, the day the video came out, that was deliberate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can probably say that. But since we talked last, like we said, we know now that Taylor has alleged that Dakota was physically abusive to her as well. She has submitted evidence to the court of injuries that she sustained from him slamming her head against the dashboard of a car, driving off with her after she told him not to do that, kicking her while she was on the ground, and apparently like photos of her injuries have been submitted to the court, and that was since the most recent hearing.
And none of that is okay.
No.
No. And, you know, those are only some of the little nuggets that have been shared. And it kind of makes some of the comments potentially make more sense too. I think in this past hearing, they talked about how she had decisively ended the relationship, I think around February.
Right.
And he had gotten very upset about that. And I remember thinking it was a little odd in the most recent series where she was going off to the Bachelorette, and obviously, you know, she had some hesitancy, like she left later than her mom and the sister and the kids, and you know, she got there and they were FaceTiming and he was like, well, maybe like save a rose for me, and said that he loved her, and she was just kind of like, okay, and hung up. And I was like, that's a little cold. And then you're like, oh, okay.
There's a reason she's reacting that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she'd already told him it was over. And there he is just I'm not a psychologist, but from what I've read and I hear, it's classic narcissistic behavior to really act up whenever a good thing is happening to the person that you have been abusive to.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, well documented in terms of like, even holidays, birthdays, or a big important event happening, you know, and he was right on cue.
I mean, it was both those things, right? It was one of her child's birthdays, and it was right as the Bachelorette was going to drop.
Yep. He wasn't sending her off with joy and support.
Right.
It was coercion and arguably, you know, emotional abuse, so that she's walking into it going, oh my God, is there still a chance? And it can be really hard to end those relationships. I think a lot of time from the outside, people will say things like, well, I would just walk away if it ever got like that. Or, you know.
I hate it when people say that, because you don't know how you would react with that whole history. And so there's a reason that people, often women, but people in general, leaving abusive relationships, it can take multiple tries to actually leave it definitively and for good. And I think we're seeing that with Taylor.
100%. And especially where they have a child together.
Yeah.
You know,
that's really hard.
Yeah. And it's, again, he is doing that whole confusing thing because she's ended it and he's like, but here's a little crumb. I want to destabilize you again. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a powerful incentive, right? Like that fantasy of we can be a family.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Yes. And again, going back to Mormon conditioning, even though it seems like Taylor is stepping away from that now, it's not like you just step away and you're like, oh, I'm completely deprogrammed now.
Yeah, right? Everything is fine.
Yes, it's all good.
I don't have any like trauma to work through.
And it's this idea of like, well, what would a good mother do here? Like a good mother holds the family together, you know, and tries and, you know, does all the things, and you can't fault her for trying.
No, I don't fault her for trying.
Yeah.
I really don't. I have a lot of sympathy for her, and I'm not saying that, you know, she has not done some abusive things to him. Like, I think they have, I think it's a little like we talked about, where we're seeing abuse from both of them. We're seeing victimhood from both of them. We can't really assess, like, who's more at fault, or, like, that's not our job. That's not what we're doing at all. But one thing that I have noticed that I really dislike is I feel like even though they're both getting criticized, like in social media and in the media, I feel like she is bearing the heavier brunt of that.
I think that's so fair and very blatant as well. And I think, you know, we talked in a recent episode about witches, and it's really pretty similar in terms of you are supposed to act this way and you're not, you know, even just down to the basics of like, if a man is aggressive or angry, he's powerful, right? And if a woman does it, like, she's a shrew and and like crazy. And, you know, I think that particularly powerful women, I mean, there's data points. I'm not just like saying, oh, this is how it looks to me, you know, from my vantage point, but I think there's data points to show how women are treated in media versus how men. You can look at it with politicians, you can look at it with actors, you know, in all these different areas. And
Yeah, women are absolutely crucified in the court of public opinion when they deviate from what I guess society feels like should be the gender role. And maybe that happens a little bit less frequently or to a lesser degree with men, because in our patriarchal system, they're expected to be aggressive, right?
And it's seen as okay, especially if it's in response to the perception of a crazy woman.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my
it's
God.
like,
so real.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you calm her down. Like,
Yeah, she's crazy. You gotta keep her in line.
Keep your woman in line. It kind of goes back to like the female ownership patterns, of yesteryear when women were property, which, sidebar, but kind of relevant. I love to look at like laws that are technically on the books in Utah, but like for law you need precedent and all other kinds of things, but there is technically a law that says if your wife commits a crime in the company, if a wife commits a crime in the company of her husband, he's responsible.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't that be fun to try? I know.
Well, neither of us have a husband currently to try that with, but yes, that would be a fun one.
And we're not giving legal advice. We're not lawyers. We're not lawyers, so this is not encouraging anybody to do it, but it just makes me giggle because you're like, wow, that's where you can really subvert patriarchy back on itself and be like, okay,
all right,
we're going to the bank, I'm going to rob it, and you're going to go to jail. I mean, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't play out like that, but but it's just fascinating to see how things were constructed and then maybe how we could fuck the system with its own self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else we want to say about Dakota? I guess the other news is that they're editing him out of Vanderpump Villa, but he is still in the Unwell Winter Games.
Oh, yes.
Which I actually watched the first episode of.
And you quite like that.
I mean, it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that. That's interesting. I wonder, is it because it's underway? Is Vanderpump Villa underway?
It's filmed, but I don't know how far, like, in the editing process they were or anything like that.
Well, it was welcome because if they did it to tailor with the Bachelorette situation, I think that it's fair if you have an allegation of slamming someone's head on a dashboard that you should also have a similar
consequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or maybe we're all just pawns and this is just a massive ploy of, the big TV corporations.
Yeah, I mean, you might make a good point there. I'm still holding out hope that we're going to see this season of The Bachelorette, and I kind of suspect we will because it will be very heavily watched.
Oh my God. Maybe like even more so if that's possible than it was, because the timing is very suspect there. For Bravo or whoever does, I don't even know who does The Bachelorette.
It's the ABC.
Oh, ABC. Yes, sorry, wrong place. But the timing also with Dakota as well. But yeah, that was I think that was a very fair development.
I agree, and I really hope that in addition to Dakota, they also edit Jordan out, because I don't need to see that man on my screen ever again.
No, never, which gives us a good segue into Jordan.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Dakota, or shall we move on to Mr. Jordan?
I think I'm Dakota exhausted.
I think I'm Dakotaed out too.
We're like, dude, I mean, I just feel like I should censor myself because I'm probably projecting with the things like I feel I want to say about Dakota, but yeah, we can leave it there and move to Jordan.
We can always come back, if we have, and I'm sure we're going to have more information, so we'll probably do a follow-up as well.
I think so.
All right, moving down in the order of Dad Talk that we like the least right now. Okay, we have Jordan.
Yay, Jordan. Oh, wow. Where do we start with him?
Yeah, well, do we have any updates with Jordan since the last time we talked about him?
I don't know that I've heard any updates on him since will I get it right this time? Call her daddy? Did I get it right?
Oh my God.
Not call me daddy. Clearly that's a whole different request. But yeah, has there been more information?
I don't think there's been more information. Jordan, I think, has been fairly quiet on social media, which is smart, and probably at the advice of his lawyer, which is what I would also be telling Jordan, is just shut up.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I heard was that he's remember we had that information from Jessie that right before the Marciano thing happened, she had found out that he had tried to hire an escort when he was out of town for a work trip. And he is now claiming that he was trying to hire strippers for a bachelor party. But I guess my confusion in response to that is escorts and strippers are two different things.
Yes. So you would assume that you would know who you were booking, because I don't know that if I happen to be in a position to be booking strippers for some kind of a party, that I wouldn't accidentally book an escort.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And I would also say that if you were booking strippers for a bachelor party, why would the business owner then reach out to your wife and be like, hey, you should know about this?
Yeah, it's like ordering tacos when you were told to bring pizza.
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like bringing dildos when you were told to bring pizza. Like, I don't know. I mean, it just like that story doesn't hang together for me.
It doesn't make any sense. And I think it's like so classic of a lot of these men in terms of the way they act towards their wives. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And they are doing equally, if not sometimes more egregious actions. And they're just like, what's the problem here?
Totally.
And I mean, finding out that information and seeing the way he shamed Jessie, who at all times took full responsibility. At all times.
Yeah.
She never once tried to be like, oh, it was fine. Like, ever. If anything.
She maybe even took more responsibility than she needed to, but she certainly owned it.
Yeah. Like, she was maybe too harsh on herself because, you know, we find out as well that he had reels ready to go.
Yeah.
That's
so gross.
Gross.
Yeah. What a horrible person.
Just, we're not Jordan fans.
We are not.
In case you didn't know this.
Yeah, in case you couldn't tell. Jordan's not our favorite person.
We don't like him very much, though.
No.
Yeah, and we're finding out too, which we knew before as well, but that he went against what they had initially agreed in their divorce. And I'm also mad that he's in that house.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I've heard Jessie say after that she wants a clean slate, and I get that. And it's like, wow, dude gets to sit like king of the castle with her success.
Hopefully she just sells that really quickly and gets him out of there and then can buy her own place and move on. That's my hope for Jessie.
Yes. Didn't she move in somewhere this week?
I think so, yeah. I watch some of her social media, but she posts a lot, and honestly, sometimes I can't keep up. I'm like, oh, there's reels with Marciano, there's reels with like some happening? Other guy, like, and you know what? To be fair, like, live your life, Jessie. Like, I love this for you. Like, that's no shade, whatever you're doing. Like, you be as messy as you want. If you want a hoe phase, you take that hoe phase. I think that's great. It just was too much for me to follow this week. We were busy.
Yeah. We had a lot going on with our Read Symposium. So, yeah. But Jordan, just no thanks. Hard pass, Mr. Jordan.
Hopefully he won't be in the Vanderpump, and I feel like that would be especially fitting, right? Because of all of them, we've said this before, Jordan was the most thirsty to get famous, like off the back of Jessie's success out of all of them.
And his like face whenever the opportunity came, like to go to the Vanderpump. Does that Vanderpump? Yeah, that's right. It didn't sound right. Mansion. He was like salivating. Like, he was like, oh, so what are you gonna do about it? Like, he just was so, like, you know, it was like revenge or, you know.
Oh yeah, what event did he like derail and like interrupt to like give this announcement? Do you remember that on that episode?
Right. They were at like
party.
A fun place, like a
and it was an
center.
Event for somebody else, right?
Yes.
And he had to be like, it's me.
Yep. Like completely unrelated.
Yeah.
It's like Brittany, ting, ting, ting. Like,
I have an announcement.
In the middle of nowhere. Jared and I are back together and then we broke up. Yeah.
Except for unlike Brittany, who's kind of a sweetheart. And
we love Brittany.
Maybe a little clueless. That was very deliberate.
So deliberate. And again, just, the spotlight's on someone else. Bring it back to me.
Yeah.
Bring it back to me. But yeah, that really honestly disgusted me to see how he was just so excited to go to the place of Marciano to like do his best whatever. Ew. Like, ew. No. Not Jordan fans.
Not Jordan fans.
No.
Anything else we want to say about Jordan before we move down the list to our next least favorite, who I'm going to guess is probably Zach, unless it's Grandpa Brett.
Ooh, yeah.
That's kind of a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. I think that Brett should definitely win an award for the most cringe fest.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh my God. I think part of it is because, we're closer in age to Brett.
Yes.
than anyone else on that show.
And yet we're still younger than Brett, right? I think we are.
God. That's just like, I am embarrassed for him. And honestly, can I just say, I am having joy here. Call us dick punchers, whatever you want. But
I love how you keep using that phrase.
But like at subverting the social norms that we've levied against women forever to the men, because it even feels weird to talk about them in this way, but it's literally the way women have been talked about forever.
100%.
And it's kind of cathartic, I'm not gonna lie. So yes, back to old man Withers here. Like,
it's so funny.
Oh, it just like, and that to me is like, make this real to show that I'm good.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, come on.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Demi fan, but that really made me feel sorry for her. I was like, oh, girl.
Yeah, I don't know if she can crawl out of this hole she has created. And I think the difference there is everybody else has messed up and they've taken accountability.
Yes.
Where she's just like, no, and then,
and then the story shifts for the 8th time, and you're like, okay, right? Like,
and then you see some of the text, and you're like, oh, girl, that wasn't innocent.
And then, like, as the other women are saying, like, well, this is a different story, and then she attacks them, and so like that pattern of behavior makes it hard to be sympathetic, right?
It's really tricky, and he seems to have really separated himself from DadTok.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was that episode where it was right before the reunion for the previous season, and he was just being so gross and dismissive to Zach, and I was like, I don't even like Zach, but like Zach is in the right here. Like, why are you making me defend Zach? Stop that.
I feel dirty.
Yeah, and he was just like personal insults and just like it was gross. I did not like that.
He was going pretty low. That's for sure.
Low, yeah.
Yeah, that was not fun to watch, and I think it's almost like he has taken on this inflated role of, I am my woman's protector.
Yeah.
And it's coming out in, the ways of him making very odd reels to sort of defend her honor of him. I think the most recent one I saw, he's in like a cloak.
Oh God, I didn't see that one.
With like a dark background, and I can't remember what the audio was. It was really cringy. And so I think he's taken on this like toxic protector role, because you and I have both said we love that, we're all about that, but it's like, defending someone's honor also has like accountability rolled into it, and you can't just be like, this was terrible, but it is my wife, don't you dare, it's just weird. It's just odd.
I know, I'm throwing up in my mouth a little bit thinking about that, but of course I'm going to go watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that protective piece, but when it's manifesting as these like gross insults and low blows to other people, including like Jen, like other women, then that just feels really nasty.
I'm not about the whole big husband comes in and talk shit to his wife's friends. Like, that's like a line, and especially given his age.
Yes.
Like, these women could be his daughters.
Extra creepy.
Like, most of them are younger than his children from his previous marriage.
Right. To Angie H, right? From Real Housewives.
Talk about incestuous reality TV. Like,
crossover.
Wow.
Interdisciplinary, like we said in the talk.
Well, yeah, they like to keep it within the fam.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to Zach. Zach. Tell me your feelings about Zach.
Well, I don't, to the point about Brett, I don't think it was super amazing the way he is locked in this standoff with Whitney.
Yes.
Where, and also a little shade on Jen, because she had made the coffee date with Whitney, and then Jen didn't show up and Zach did, and again it kind of comes under that gross, like,
that's super gross,
I'm here to defend my wife. I have had situations where I will show up for a lunch date with a friend and maybe she brings her husband, and I'm always like, that's really weird.
It's really weird. That's cringe, unless that was the plan to begin with.
Yes. Or they ask or something before, would they mind?
Like, hey, plans changed or like whatever. Could the but not like a, oh, hey, surprise. Like, I thought it was going to be a girl's date, but now it's like my friend and her husband.
I've definitely had that with some friends who are still members of the dominant faith here.
Okay.
And it's almost like I felt like the husband was there as like a defense from the divorced whore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they telling my wife? That may not have been the case, but there were just weird vibes.
You got the vibes. Okay.
It's just weird vibes. And like, Whitney was very upset. And I'm not saying that maybe all of the things he discussed, there could be truth to some of them. She definitely did let out a little sneaky smile and laugh when Jen got voted off Dancing with the Stars. We can see that with our own eyeballs.
Okay, sure. But in her defense, Jen was pretty shady towards her during that show as well. So,
and also we can do weird things under pressure too. Like, people can definitely laugh when things are scary or weird as
that's true.
Weird response.
Or like you said earlier, like none of us are perfect. And sometimes it's not our finest moment.
Nope.
And we do something that like maybe isn't the best choice in that moment. And that can range from being thoughtless to being a little bit malicious.
Yes.
But, like we learned on Friday from our friend Dr. Jordan Rullo, take 1% accountability, at least 1% accountability.
That's
just
not much.
Look, that wasn't my finest moment, and I am sorry, right?
Yes.
And like that doesn't mean that you're saying you're totally at fault and the other person is totally innocent.
Yeah.
You can also then express like how you feel hurt, but you do kind of have to own your own stuff.
Well, and if both people are doing it, it kind of sets a really excellent stage for reconciliation. And I think that was key with Zach, is that he's not interested in reconciliation. He's interested in winning.
Right. I was about to say it could set the stage for reconciliation, but it also could set the stage for an eternal positive feedback loop, and, positive meaning it keeps going up and up and up and feeds on itself, right? To where at some point we don't even remember what we're fighting about anymore. We're just fighting to fight.
Yeah. And it just becomes like a shade war, which I think is what we're seeing. I haven't seen all the videos, but I've seen some, and it's just like so petty at this point where, Zach's like walking and giving a dramatic monologue on how shitty like Whitney is. And, I have seen Whitney and Connor make more like humorous reels about the situation, which I don't know if that's a great approach either if you're going for reconciliation. But it just seems to be like this standoff, not really like, can we resolve? And then, maybe you could argue, is there part of you, Zach, that's a little jelly now? Because
I'm sure, definitely. I think there is that. I think Jen and Zach both have a little bit of jealousy going on for Whitney's great success, which I think she's earned. I mean, my goodness, like the arc from season 1 with Whitney has just been incredible, and
off the charts.
Yeah, I've come around, like big time.
I have come around too. I'm a reformed Whitney hater. Because I was just like, you're a raging bitch, like in the first season.
I mean, I think she got a pretty bad edit in season 1, right? She did do some shitty things. But also, and this goes back to what we were talking about with Taylor, like the little dance she did in like the NICU or whatever when her child was very sick, and then like posting that for clout, like that really rubbed me the wrong way. And like maybe I need to think a little harder and deconstruct, my gender assumptions.
I mean, I love that you say that. Like, I think that's, just lovely. And the empathy, I think, and the care that everybody needs to be like, okay, that was maybe not your finest moment.
Right. But you know what? She did actually take accountability and apologize for that. So you know what? Like, we're good.
Yes.
Like, I'm good with that.
Yeah, because
we all make mistakes.
We do. And I would imagine that being thrown in from like nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, sometimes, again, projecting, when you're in that Mormon world, you can really feel like nothing, and then all of a sudden propelled into, ooh, can you be a brand ambassador for this sex toy? And your wee Mormon mind is going like, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. That's a lot of money, but oh my God.
Does not compute. Does not compute.
And like, honestly, for all of them must have been just like raging cognitive dissonance, of like, is this good? Is this bad? I don't know. And I think she stepped away from it now, but Whitney in particular was really, she was Miss Molly Mormon, as we would have called it.
Big time, yeah.
Big time. And that must have mind-fucked her up, down, and sideways.
Well, and also we met her mom on season 1, and I was like, oh boy, we've got a lot to unpack from childhood here.
Yeah.
So
it's like you see all the moms and you're like, oh.
Well, I think one of the really interesting things about the show, and you see it with Whitney, but you see it with a lot of them, is like they really did come from this Utah background, very sheltered in Utah County, and then they blew up overnight, right? And they are young, they're babies, like we've said before, like they're quite young. They blew up overnight, and I think we see it with some of them. With Whitney, we see it with Jesse, where like they're getting a lot of, comments and reactions both online and in the media. And I think it is interesting because, like, I think, for example, with Jesse, we see everyone saying, look, the way he treats you is not okay. And, like, her coming to that realization over time, because a lot of the behavior we see from the men is very normalized in Utah County and sort of in, Utah and in the LDS Church in general. So, suddenly they're like blowing up on this international release stage, and they're getting all this feedback, and maybe they're starting to take a harder look at some things that they didn't question before.
Which is very difficult. I love the way you put that in terms of, we've seen this in both Real Housewives and Secret Lives, where it's on a stage where people are going, what? Yeah. Like, why is a 50-year-old woman crying because she feels bad about having sex with her long-term partner? Like,
I know, right?
That doesn't make sense in the real world. Or, your husband is clearly a misogynistic prick, but somehow that feels normalized. And, that's a really painful journey. Yeah. To step away, even in your wee head, if you're like, okay, something's not right. I know it's not right, but all around me, it's right. Yeah. So, like, what? I mean,
imagine the cognitive dissonance. And I think it's harder for our Secret Lives girlies. Not that it's easy for, like, our Real Housewives, but at least, like, they're older. They're a little more fully formed in their personality. Yep. They've had more life experience, etc. But, like, most of these women are in their 20s. Yeah. The ones that aren't are in their very early 30s, right? So, like, they just, and a lot of them, I think, have probably been living in the Mormon bubble for, like, their whole lives. And now suddenly they're not.
Yes. And there's just so many things happening there. Yeah. And that is such a young age. And also a young age to be dealing with things like motherhood. And also, a lot of these women, where the husbands have come out, Zach in particular, they've been postpartum as well. Yeah. Which I'm not saying that means you can do whatever you want, but, like, things are happening in your body and your mind. Yep. And, for Whitney and also Jen, they had to go right into training for Dancing with the Stars very closely postpartum.
Crazy.
Insane. Like, and to have some man barking at you that you're being a terrible mother, like, I would imagine that I would have just sobbed and felt like a terrible mother. Yes. So, yeah, we're not Zach fans.
No, not really. I mean, I have a lot of empathy for all these women, and as we talked last time, I am trying, but I'm struggling hard to have empathy for some of these men. I really am. I am trying, I promise.
I know. But, like, we're taking so deep.
Some of them are making it kind of difficult for me.
They're just so, I think, self-interested. And I guess the compassionate approach would be, nobody wins from patriarchy, right? Not even men. That's right. Because they're also slotted into this little box. And, their minds have also been really polluted in the context of religion. And, at 12 years old, you're supposed to be this priesthood holder at 12. And, if you're raised like that is like a breeding ground for narcissists. Like, you are special, you are powerful, you are, and of course we all want to give our children confidence, but we also don't want to turn them into assholes.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, they've been told that, and now suddenly they're in this funhouse version of everything where, like, their wives are, like, the more powerful person, and, like, they're being criticized for these behaviors that are rewarded, like, where they came from.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I mean, I would like to hold out some hope that some of them will deconstruct that and sort of, come around to the light.
It's real easy to slip into, and just, throwback moment to Zach in one of the early series where Jen had gone to the Chippendales in Vegas, which wasn't even her choice. They didn't know where they were going.
I mean, she was almost dragged there. It's not like she was forced, but she didn't know. It was a surprise. No. She was visibly uncomfortable with the whole thing.
And didn't she, like, stay in the back, like, to eat and all? Like, she stayed far away.
Like, touching or participating,
no.
Right?
She wasn't down there grinding on the Chippendales.
God, no.
And that phone call, the gates of hell opened in my body, because he's sitting gambling thousands
of her money
that she literally gave him for the trip, saying, well, it's not very becoming of a Latter-day Saint. And he's literally sitting at, like, a blackjack table.
Yeah, and threatening to leave her. And by the way, our friends who weren't raised in the LDS faith, you're not supposed to gamble either. That is a taboo in Mormonism.
It's a major taboo. Like, personally, I have no problem with that. It's fun. Go fill your boots, right?
Sure.
But, like, for him to be sitting at a literal gambling table, threatening to leave her and calling her all the harlots in creation, the hypocrisy in that was vile to me.
Off the charts.
Yeah,
it was really upsetting.
And he's not really improved.
Sometimes it feels like he's trying to, or maybe he's learned to be more performative about it. I'm not really sure which. Yeah. I'm trying to hold space for him trying to improve, but he's not doing great so far, in my opinion.
He's not. You're a very good human, Melissa.
No, I don't know that I am, but
you are.
I feel like empathy is a thing that I've worked on for a long time, and so I try.
You are a very empathetic human.
Thank you.
I feel that.
Thank you. Well, shall we move on to Jace?
To other people that are not empathetic.
Oh my God.
Sorry, shade.
I know, Jace, who would be higher on our list, except for the other men have been bad enough to be ahead of him. But just as a reminder, Jace got Michaela pregnant when she was 16. She's had 4 of his children. And I think we said this last time, but the first couple of seasons, I was like, oh, he seems nice. But then I read that and I was like, oh, I don't really like that at all. And then we started seeing a little more of Jace, which I also don't like.
I saw a term this week online that I thought was great to describe him, in that he was gunning for the good husband edit.
Oh, I think he was. Him and Jacob.
Yeah. And I think, the pair of them. Yeah. I think we're transitioning here, crossing over this line from just the notably just very clearly gross actions and no filter, to we're crossing over into the nice guy,
quote unquote.
Yes, this facade of, but I'm a nice guy, and sometimes the nice guys are really shitty.
Honestly, it can even be a little more pernicious, because there's not always something very overt to call out.
Yeah.
I've definitely had this happen in my own life. Guys who will describe themselves all day as a great guy, a nice guy, someone who would never disrespect women.
Yeah.
But maybe they just, and I think they believe it, but there is an undertone to their behavior and the way they speak to you that is not nice and not okay, and pretty sexist, to be honest.
Yeah.
And if you can't really point it out to them, because they will get very defensive and very upset about it, because in their head they're one of the good ones.
Yeah, they're a nice guy, so AKA no accountability there, because they're nice.
Right.
But living in Utah, we know that nice is actually pretty toxic, and we'd rather have kind.
Yes, kind, not nice. And some men really are nice and kind. So I don't want to say this is every man who's I'm a nice guy, but some of them, even if there's not an overt action to call out, right? They wouldn't spike your drink and rape you, right? They wouldn't hit you.
They're so nice.
Right?
Oh, wow.
But interestingly, when women are criticized, they pile on, and when men are, they defend them, and you're that's not a nice guy, though.
Nope. And it's they're benefiting from the bar being so low for women, and instead of trying to up it for their buddies, they're just like, I'm not going to roofie you. I'm not going to punch you in the face.
Aren't I a nice guy?
I'm so nice. Like, yes. And as you say, we've had those experiences in our personal life.
Definitely.
Of the nice guy vibe, and it's kind of ooh.
Yeah, it definitely can be.
Yep. And I think, here's the thing. Like, of course, I think generalization, but it would be a fair one to say that if you're in a relationship, a meaningful relationship, that, intimacy is a lovely part of that. Yes. But it's not a demand or an expectation. And he's kind of turned it in. Well, there's no kind of. He's turned it into that.
Yes.
And particularly given the trauma that she's like trying to work through. Like, she's not just complaining about it. Like, she's actively trying to confront it and move on. And maybe she'll realize that the problem was Jace.
Well, part of it, because I mean, let's be clear, to add on to what you're saying, like what she went through in childhood was horrific.
Horrific.
And we don't know all the details, but she was sexually abused as a child, and it was clearly just horrible. Yeah,
because she had that layer that often happens within religion where it didn't seem like she was believed, and she was victim shamed for it too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at some point we can talk about all of the Mormon church abuse things that are kind of going on and hitting the news. We'll leave that for now, but this is a definite strand that can happen, not just in Mormonism, but in any sort of patriarchal system like this.
Definitely.
Where women and children are not believed or valued.
100%. I mean, there's countless examples that we could bring to bear, but I think he's definitely hiding behind that nice guy. Like, he doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't, he's like kind of Eeyore energy. I don't know. Like,
yeah, a little Eeyore energy.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It just, an Irish phrase came to mind, like the flies are dropping off him.
I love that.
He's just kind of blah, Yeah.
Yeah, but so he, instead of using sort of overt, physical abuse or emotional abuse or anything like that, he's got the little emotional manipulation going on. So he weaponizes the pouting and the sulking and the, you know what I mean? Like the hangdog thing going on.
Well, because it's like, you're not meeting my expectations.
Poor me.
Yes, and that's not a good look. I don't like that. And I think, again, what I know is that context of Mormonism. I assume it happens in other spots too, where, it's like you're not living up to the expectations of a good Mormon wife here, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And that's its own level of abusive behavior.
It is.
And as you say, maybe even worse because it's so hard to detect.
Yeah, it's more subtle and it's more pernicious.
Yes.
And it makes you feel like you're the problem.
Yes.
And you're the broken one.
Yep.
And it takes a long time to sort of recognize that pattern.
Yeah. And I think from some of the ways she's presented and things she's said, she's definitely internalized that, I think, to a point. Pass on Jace.
Yeah, pass on Jace. All right, moving on to Jacob.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because he is like a nice guy times 5,000.
Another nice guy. I feel like with Jacob we have less data than with some of the rest of them, because I feel like he's gotten less airtime. He's done less acting out, right? So there's less to sort of put on screen with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, the jury is kind of out with Jacob. Although he did have that one comment. Ooh. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. That one, and it maybe landed a little harder with those of us with a background in Mormonism too. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share that lovely comment that he made?
I think you could go ahead.
Well, when, again, they were talking, I mean, we got little features of discussing the wife's success and how that was going to play out in family dynamics. And his response was, well, the priesthood should be the ultimate decision maker.
Vomit.
Yeah. And it's, for our listeners with not a Mormon background, this is really solidified in the temple, where, the wife is told in the temple that she will follow the husband, the direction of the husband. And there's like a slight caveat, like it's something like in Shakespearean language, insofar as he behooveth, so that, insofar as he follows the counsel of our Lord. Here's the problem with that. how are we interpreting the counsel of the Lord? And when you've already given somebody like the power, quote unquote, to speak for the Lord, then the Lord can say whatever you want him to say.
That's right. So who gets to decide? Not the woman.
Yep, not him. So, you can shroud it in this priesthood power, which again is even more nefarious because it's not Mr. Jacob saying, oh, I rule the roost here and I should be the focus. He's saying, well, the priesthood power clearly states that, that should be the final decision maker. And guess who holds it in our marriage?
Right. So I think, again, we don't have a ton of data on Jacob. I would say maybe the most compassionate view of Jacob is he has grown up and been raised in this patriarchal system. He's been embedded in it and he's living it. He's parroting it. This is what he was told his whole life that he should be. So I don't want to shit on Jacob exactly. I think we just don't have enough information. And I would hope that whether or not he stays Mormon for his whole life, I would hope that he maybe questions some of the assumptions that he was raised with.
Yeah, and again, he could also be in this phase of deconstructing or cognitive dissonance where he's like, wait, I'm happy for this woman because I really love her and I'm thrilled and proud, but also I've kind of been told there's this thing that I should be doing and I'm confused.
Right. And I mean, from what we've seen, he seems like he treats Macy okay. I don't think we've seen otherwise. Mm-hmm. So
there seems to be a lot of decent happiness happening in that household.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
They seem fine from what we know now.
I think so. Who do we have left?
Well, we have 2 left, and I would like to kind of move to, he's not exactly DadTok, he's kind of DadTok adjacent, but one of my favorites, everyone's favorite bad boy, and apparently the only man in Utah since he gets together with all of them, and that would be Chase McWhorter.
Oh, yes, dear Chase.
I have to admit, I kind of love Chase, and he is not perfect, and he's done some things that are bad. Mm-hmm. However, I did listen to his Mormon Stories interview recently, and if you're so inclined, everyone, you could listen to that. Now, like most Mormon Stories episodes, it's quite long. It's about 3 hours long, but it was really good, and he kind of won me over, to be honest. When we first saw him on screen, I did not like him. Yeah, he kind of came off as an asshole, but in that interview, he was funny. He was charming. But he also took a lot of accountability for his own actions. Ooh. Now, I wouldn't say he took 100% accountability for everything. Yeah. I mean, particularly, he does have a DUI, for example. And he did take some accountability. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was full or just the interview. They didn't really dig into it that much. But at least he acknowledges when he has done wrong. Yeah. And I also give him a lot of credit for the way that he treats Miranda, because it seems pretty great.
It seems very amicable and in the interest of the kids. Even just the fact that, there was footage where they were all at the park together. Yeah. Which is so good for children to see, even if parents are divorced, and they're able to hang out and have a conversation. They make little cute reels together, kind of mocking some of those ideas of co-parenting and men and dad jokes, and
It's so cute.
That's impressive.
It
honestly,
really is.
It's so rare.
It's really rare, and he's taken accountability there too. So he's said the marriage falling apart is 100% my fault. Miranda is not to blame whatsoever. And he said on the interview also that they don't even have a custody agreement. He just texts her every day, every week, and he's like, what do you need from me today? What do you need from me this week? When can I take the kids? What do you need? And I will work my schedule around it to accommodate.
Damn. Right? I'm rendered speechless.
I know. So you can see why I'm a Chase fan, right?
Yes. Well, because there has to be a high level of mutual trust for that to work.
Yes.
And also feeling like you can trust somebody enough to rely on them. Yes. Is huge, because some people don't even feel like that when they're married, never mind when they're, separated.
Exactly.
And to be able to work together, and, obviously credits to you for her too there.
1,000,000%. So all the credit to Miranda.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Miranda's a perfect angel.
She really is pretty cool.
Chase will say as well.
Yes.
I know. He says 0 bad words about her. He only builds her up. I just think that's super admirable.
mega high five, and may all the men on the earth follow his example because, you know, as we've said, no one is perfect. The difference is accountability. And it seems he's taken more than 1%, maybe not 100, but definitely more than 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think for his marriage, he's taken 100.
Yeah.
For the rest of it, I don't really know, but he's taken a lot. This is a strand we've talked about before. He has deconstructed his Mormon faith, and it was a really good interview. So hashtag Mormon Stories, hashtag John DeLynn, shout out. It was really interesting to listen to. So he deconstructed that, but I feel like he's also done a pretty good job of deconstructing at least some of his gender role and patriarchal assumptions. You know, he said in that interview, he's like, the women are in charge. That's how it should be. Like, they are driving the train here. They're making the money. He's like, I'm just here to like do whatever Miranda needs me to do.
Amazing.
Right?
Like, and it doesn't feel performative because we're seeing actions that align.
Exactly.
And also she has a platform to say otherwise if it's, you know, not actually the case. But
yes.
He seems to be the words and the actions align, which is something that seems really missing in arguably most of DadTok.
I would agree. You know, now, is he a little messy? Like, sure.
Oh, yeah, because
right?
He's trying to get with, like, every single
That's
woman
right.
on the show.
He and Jesse kissed, right?
Oh,
like,
God.
it's kind of funny, but...
Yeah, that's like 3 of them now he's been with.
Yeah, it's like a bunch, right? But...
You're so kind. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Chase isn't perfect, but again, none of us are. And like his actions have, and like what he said on that interview have really like brought me all the way around. I'm a total Chase fan.
After hearing you talk about it, I've seen some of the wee clips and reels on Instagram from Mormon Stories, but that is one I'm going to definitely listen to over probably 3 days. But like,
sure, yeah.
I will
take
listen.
Take your time. It's good that it is long.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, sidebar, I would love for Miranda to be the Bachelorette.
Oh, I think she would be amazing as the Bachelorette because she seems open and available.
Yes, exactly.
To love. She has a spouse or ex-spouse that would not make her feel bad, who I feel like would only encourage that.
Would probably be really supportive.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Get her on as the Bachelorette.
That would be wonderful.
She would be amazing. And she is such like a chill girly and she's a good hype man too, like with her friends. And, you know, I think the position that she was placed in between Taylor and the girl whose name I can't remember that was having a little fling with Dakota. And you could see...
Shania, whatever, whoever that person was.
Shania or something. Yeah. Like... You know, she seemed like a real one in terms of a friend as well.
Yeah, I agree. And she's one of the original MomTokers.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that interview was also really interesting to hear Chase talk about the, quote, soft swinging.
Ooh.
It's not nearly as juicy as everyone's selling it out to be. Yeah.
That's funny. Because, yeah, when you take it into the Mormon context, it's probably like touching someone's hand.
Yeah, no, it was like more like, oh my God, it was hilarious. It was more like high school shit where like,
oh my God.
You know, they were like drinking and playing spin the bottle and kissing. Like that, like that sounds like that was kind of it. But then Taylor had an affair separately with one of the members of the group. And then she went onto TikTok and like said that it was this soft swinging thing. But I mean, okay, but like a little like spin the bottle and kissing each other. You're like, when everybody's there and like consensually participating, that does not seem that scandalous to me, to be honest.
No, like there would be much worse things.
Yeah, it's like we all got married too young because we're Mormons, and now we're like doing the most innocent, like you know, like experimentation of all time.
Like it almost makes me have a wee tear because you're just like, oh, like that's,
I know, right?
That's just like, it's like so sad in a way because they're just experimenting with feelings that they never got the actual time when you're supposed to do that. Supposed, but you know what I mean? Like in normal developmental terms, you explore things like you play spin the bottle in high school, but oh, bless their wee hearts.
I know, isn't that kind of like cute and sort of sad the way it all turned out?
Oh, it's just indicative of a shame-based culture as well. Definitely.
Exactly. All right, well, we've got one more member of DadTok to talk about.
Yep.
And I think we kind of have nothing but good things to say at this point. Yeah?
Mr. Connor's shining.
We love Connor.
We love Connor. He is been nothing, at least on the looks of things, as supportive. And honestly, he was like, you know, so if I come to you with something that I'm like dying to share, and, you know, it's like I know I have this ear of support or understanding, or, you know, that you would also say, you're being kind of a bitch right now, or but in a kind way. You know what I mean? Because accountability is a big part of good relationship.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I would tell you that. I've never had to tell you that because you've never been a bitch to me. But, like, you know, we could have that conversation if necessary.
It could definitely happen. And, like, you know, I see that in Connor. To me, he's like calling a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like a trusted, really good girlfriend.
He seems like a safe space.
Yes, that you can be your messy self with and, you know, be like, like I'm spiraling. And he has held her with nothing but care and love. Like when she phoned and after the Zach occasion she was on the phone and she was really upset, really elevated. And he was just like, that's not okay. Like, I've got you. Like, it's like making me want to cry,
oh my
honestly.
God, I know. Like, it was perfect. He validated her feelings. He was in her corner. Like, he was offering his support. Like, he was great.
He never once said, calm down.
Yeah.
Because that's like, worked 0%.
Oh my God. Or I just like hate it when like somebody is, you know, upset and they're venting about something and they're like, well, have you considered their point of view? It's like, maybe there's a time for that, but not when someone's coming to you like, and they've just been like, you know, shit on. And you're like, well, but what about me defending my guy friend here? You're like, no, stop it.
Yes. It's like the face clap needs to happen. Because when we're all elevated, we know we're not thinking clearly. We know we may be spiraling. We know we're maybe not being our best rational self, but validation goes a long way. And that's not to validate poor behaviors or unfair things, but just to be like, I can see why you're really sad right now.
Absolutely. Like, just listen and validate and, like, my God, at least get the whole fucking story before you jump in and tell someone they're wrong about being upset.
Yes. And he also, this seems like a no-brainer, but I think with so many distractions, he also was giving her his full attention.
Yes, so important.
Full attention. Like, listening to every word. Like, are you good? Are you okay to go? You know? And it seems so sad that we're celebrating it so highly,
but the bar is in hell.
But yeah, it's just like when I saw that call, I was like, Connor is like my best girlfriends.
Totally.
That space where I can trust and flail and do the ugly cry and the things, and, you know, because I don't know that I felt that with male companions in my life. You know, I always felt a little performative with the good Mormon, you know, facade. Or
like maybe you feel like you have that and then you realize it's kind of a performative thing because they want to fuck you.
Yes.
Well, that can happen too.
There is that like little important fact in there. Yeah. It's like, oh, you were listening, but really you just want it in my drawers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although, I mean, it can be and both, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be either or. So, yeah, Connor. And I also want to shout out to Connor, like, because season 1, like, we heard this thing with him, like, maybe being on Tinder and talking to other people. And, you know, huge shout out to making a mistake, owning your mistake, taking accountability, working through it. And, like, huge props to both of them for working through that issue and coming out stronger on the other side. Really good job, you guys.
A major double high five.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that has continued in his support of her career. I mean, he's always there, supportive, you assume, of the kids and that situation. But even just, you know, that famous moment that everybody's talking about where he's like, where she was having a breakdown, like a mom guilt.
Oh, which poor thing. That's so real and relatable.
It's so real. Because, like, you will feel bad for things you don't need to feel bad about. And you can see it in your friends, but when it's yourself, you're like, I am the worst mother ever. And he was like, babe, it's your moment to shine.
Yes.
We're good. Our family is happy.
Yes.
That was really, like, literal goosebumps right now.
I know. Same.
Did you ever see the reel with her little daughter? She'd taken her phone. My kids would do this when they were younger too. And she was making a little video and she was just like, living in New York is the best because you get to walk to school and you get to do this. And oh my God.
I didn't see that, but that's adorable.
It just must have been like, because you're coming from Utah County to Manhattan and you're probably thinking, oh my God, is this good for my children? It's
so good for your children.
So cute, and a credit to their parenting because kid feels safe and secure.
And that's the thing, like kids are resilient as long as they have that safe, secure attachment.
Yeah.
So.
And they see their parents being the flight attendant, the calm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Shout out to Connor.
And also, like, him doing magic tricks, like, fucking adorable. Like, stop. You're so cute. It's killing me.
I love that. Like, where they're both leaning into, like, just the things that they love. Because I think when you get married and kids come along, those things are really given up a lot of the time, sometimes out of necessity or thinking that you have to. I love this life for them, dancing and magician. Like
100%. Oh my God, shine on, Whitney and Connor. We love you.
We love you. And, I think overall what we're seeing here is people have a capacity for change.
Yes.
Either bad change or good change. or highlighting they have the capacity doesn't mean they always embrace that opportunity, but it's there.
It's there, and we've seen at least some of these men rise to the occasion. So that's great. That gives me some hope.
Some hope. We have a little shred left.
I like that.
Love it.
Okay, so we've ended on a high note.
We have. I feel some joy.
Oh my God, me too. I'm sitting in this little dungeon kind of filled with like hope and gratitude.
Like we've managed to like suppress our panic and slight claustrophobia for the last hour or so.
We've worked through the shit.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, we're going to get fresh air anytime. It's going to be fine. But yeah, I mean, we hope that dog talk, Freudian slip.
Wow.
DadTok doesn't survive, but we hope that the likes, of Connor and Chase continue to thrive.
Yeah, and we do hope that all these other men with shitty behaviors can actually do some deconstruction and maybe move a little closer to the side of like hope and good behavior.
And hopefully having those good friends in their lives will support that change.
Yep.
So
it's important.
Good times.
All right. Well, shall we wrap it up?
We shall wrap it up.
Okay. God, I miss you already. I feel like I've seen you like for all of this, like the last 4 days, and it's been marvelous.
Melissa and I have lived together this weekend.
We pretty much have. Yeah, we've been in each other's pockets, which has been kind of fantastic.
It's been so lovely.
Yeah.
There's nobody else's pocket I would rather be in.
Oh my God. Climb into my pocket, baby. Let's do this.
That may be an offer that I might actually take you up on right now, so be careful.
Okay. I warmly welcome it. All right, friends, if you enjoyed our episode, as always, please go ahead and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Drop us a comment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you want to hear next? If you would like to write us a review, that would be fantastic. And definitely, it only takes a second to hit that follow button. That helps us a lot on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or even both.
You could go for it and do both. Oh my God, we would be so, so grateful.
And we're grateful to all of you salty hoes and you salty bros out there. Keep listening and stay salty.
We're so grateful for you all. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.